it was cool how we met in '95. You know, like I'll try to make it super succinct.
Yeah.
But a friend said, "Hey, go check out this band. They're cool." And I was kind of still kind of in my little hardcore bubble. I was like, "Are they from the scene or what are they?" He's like, "They love Bad Brains. Go check them out." I went and saw them during the run they did, the leg they did on that Warped Tour, and I was like, "Wow, this has great energy. Like this is what I signed up for." Met them, we became acquainted, and it was nice. Fast forward a few years, you know, like I get a call to fill in for G, and you know, like at that point I had known him. You know, I knew the guys. I felt really cool about it. I also had a connection with Chi in the sense that he plays Fender basses, and the reason he plays them was because he saw me kick a bass across stage and like picked it up with quicksand, and it was still going and in tune, and you know, like I'm very cathartic, and that was something that he brought as well. So him seeing that was like, oh, if this guy's doing this, and you know, I'm messing with that gear, I'm messing with this, and so there was a connection, a synergy, and a mutual respect and admiration. So when I filled in for him, you know, it was the same thing. It was like, hey, he went home, he's hurt. You know, you bring that excitement, bring that thing, and even to the extent that it was like, you know, kind of rolling and bringing. I always bring everything, you know. And at some point, Chino asked me, hey, what if we asked you to join? And I was like, no, you know, like
Oh, wow.
like that's she's your boy. This is exciting. This is cool. Rock, you know, that's your guy. Like I know feels like it's a moment, but it's like it's a moment you have something great, and that was it. You know, went on with our lives. And then in '99 it came. Not in '99. I'm sorry. In 2009 it came around again, and you know what happened? It was like is tragic,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and they were kind of like at the tail end of Eros. You know, like they were starting to get along again, but the album. My understanding is that the album wasn't coming together in a way that they or the label liked. The label was just going to be like, I don't know, you know. Nick and I came in, and they used. My understanding is that they used the money, like severance money, that they would have given them to not release that record and just go, you know, we're part ways, to fund Diamond Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So all of between the tragedy and the emotion and everything going on and the excitement that Nick brought and the focus and everything, that was like a storm of energy that propelled, you know, the writing and recording of Diamond Eyes. That was one of the quickest records that was ever made. And that energy just shot through the next 12 years as collaborating with them. And that infected even when Quicksand reformed around the time of Koi No Yokan.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, that was the deal. And it's like, I still feel the momentum of it.
Yeah, I mean, to be doing the stuff you're doing now, and putting records out with quicksand still, and it makes sense that you've honed it to make things move a little quicker because you've got the experience that you have. But to think like that energy was started so long ago and is still there, still going, is pretty wild. I mean, we love what you did with the band, and that era, like Nate said, is one of our favorites. That 10 year, 12 year stretch, starting with Diamond Eyes. Diamond Eyes is so great. Koi might be my favorite Deftones record. So to have you be part of that is and to talk to you about it is pretty wild to me. But
It's fun.
yeah, how do you feel about the stuff that you put out with those guys?
It gives me, it's interesting and awesome because in some ways I can be heady and think about like how things work and how you take that and use that to inform your next choices. And I thought of like when I came into the band, I had some weird vision of a triptych. Like a lot of my family visual artists, so I imagine. And when I think of Diamond Eyes, I think of like a boxer on the ropes, and it was a boxer getting off the ropes, and that was the energy that you need. You know, you're kind of going to do something, and you have to get up, and you have to get yourself back to the center of the ring, and then I felt that Koi was you got your, you know, your focus, you got your thing, you're buoyed, you have a little bit of confidence, and Gore took that further in terms of its experimentation. And for me as a writer and a collaborator with the band in Diamond Eyes, you know, like I would like be work myself in and be careful, like so let's say like a song like Diamond Eyes, you know, was a cool example of Nick's influence because Abe and I were jamming out what was the chorus and the bridge of the song as like a loop. And to think of the visual aspect of it, it was like the poster behind me. In my mind, I was calling that Akira because of the time signature of those two parts. The way they undulate and fall on each other reminded me of a scene in Akira. And then Stefan had the body of the song, the verses, but they were separate entities. And Nick was like, "Hey, I think if you throw that together, you got gold."
Mm-hmm.
And
amazing.
He was about quick.
Yep.
Go to Koi. I felt like a little bit more like, okay, this is fun and this is cool, and I felt like more established in there to the extent where I could say, oh, here's a whole piece. So here's like something that like became What Happened to You. Is like, here's a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Tempest, here's a whole thing. And it was funny with that bit because I was just jamming some things in the corner. Stefan was like, "You guys are making noise, and don't you hear this guy just wrote a song?" And then Chino was like, "Wow, this is cool. I was just imagining what would Quicksand sound like now."
Wow.
And I felt more comfortable in like, what was my voice in Quicksand and what was that thing? Because Quicksand, wasn't existing, and I felt a lot more comfortable with that feel and that touch, and applying it in another situation. And I learned something really valuable because I realized that if you bring like a voice to something, it gets pulled and nurtured by other people who are doing different things. So like, I can say with confidence, you bring a part to one band, it's going to come one way. If you bring a part to the other band, everyone's so creative and they're writers, and it goes another way. Mm-hmm. So that was a real fun learning experience. And Gore furthered that. Gore furthered, like, I started using bass sixes, and I started to be like, we had a lot of confidence and we're expanding our horizons. So with tunings, with me using a new instrument, and so that to me is like this triptych. And then when I think of ohms, I think of it as then I'm now moving over to baseball, and that's like the cleanup hitter. That's everything that I learned from all of that. Now Quicksand being back together and everything that was going on was like, wow. And just personal changes in my life really, really informed that.